Greetings everybody and welcome to another video. Today we are going to look at what is new on JP and that'll be basically it. Just a very simple video. So first off, starting on the poll banner section of the game, first off we have this, a level 120 select a unit banner for 2k paid. This is for anybody who is kind of a mid-tier spender who's been looking for a character. However, I don't think this is very good value unless there is something you are very, very specifically looking for that you think is going to be really, really helpful, because there hasn't been that many characters added to this list and Joom is still not available. Whether Joom will be available if this comes to global is yet to be seen, but I kind of doubt it, given that probably just isn't enough time for that to happen, but we'll see. All right, other than that, there's also a free paid version where you get a guaranteed UR for 6k. Again, I don't think this is very good since it doesn't consist of any of the most powerful characters in the game at this point. I think it's worth skipping. Next up, Dark Titan, which apparently I have no luck getting, but hey, let's take a look at the VC. The VC is, you know, exactly what we said it was going to be. Defense penetration. The individual unit gets a total of 10 plus AoE resistance of 5, single target resistance of 20, defense penetration of 13 for the entire party, and an HP increase of 20% for ice and earth units. So if you are interested in ice earth combo, pretty good. As for the stats on it, it has spirit, it has dexterity, it has 4 agility, and it has 188 attack with 12 AP. So just like the other 90 cost VCs, it is pretty decent looking. As for Mr. Titan himself, he does have the actual defense spread on his 100% hit chance. It is a 60 times, so just like other characters in the game. Base is even 40%, so it's not terrible even if you leave him at his base level. As for the Esper, it is an 18 agility Esper, which is quite high. It is a primarily attack-based Esper at 113 attack. And taking a look, he also has stun resistance, which is kind of nice. Into his kit, he has Human Killer, increase earth attack, increase attack, lightning resistance, boost his own attack, accuracy, critical rate, lightning killer, magic resistance, elemental chain resistance, 25, and slash attack. So yeah, it did end up being Ashmont's Esper, just as we kind of thought it was going. But for people who are curious, that's exactly what it was. Right, there's nothing really in the shop, so I don't know why I clicked on it. What we need to do is go over to characters, as that will be the next thing that we are talking about. So character-wise, let's jump into some upgrades. Starting off with Gargle, who is one of our new Limit Burst upgrades that is in the game. Taking a look at what his Limit Burst will now do. So before Spirit Penetration 50, 200% damage, piercing, Spirit down by 30. Now it is an AoE resistant shred for 3 turns. The range on this has not changed. It is still the number of panels directly in front, right, or left, so it's not a very flexible Limit Burst, but it's okay. Spirit penetration has stayed the same, attack has stayed the same. He now also gets magic attack resistance penetration by 40 for 3 turns to himself. And then there's just a bunch of other stuff on here too. Deals barrier destructions for 3 turns. If the target is one of the following, re-raise, it does give him re-raise. Absorbs 30% of the damage done as long as he has re-raise. And single target resistance of 20. Kind of interesting because Gargle can be a pretty high power unit. So this might be something even I'm interested in trying out. But I don't think this is really going to pick Gargle up to being absolutely insane. Looking at what a lot of units are capable of doing for DPS, this would have felt more amazing a couple of weeks ago. Possibly interesting enough to be run. But until then, it's just a solid upgrade when it might be already too late. But if he does get it off, he does get just a whole truckload of benefits, which are kind of nice. That's pretty cool. And I guess he joins the re-raise. Sure, let's put him in that. But I don't think you're ever going to just replace Vivi or Helena for this guy, given that Vivi and Helena are part of the strongest mage team, and I just don't see a third mage making a difference in that combination. I see it making it worse. All right, next we are going to jump over to the water element, and our next character to talk about is Chinak. The Chinak, whatever. Limit Burst will now have the exact same range as it was before. Slightly cheaper cost at 28 AP, so it's very likely to be triggered. Single target resistance, 38 down, and a 200% damage is what it did before. Now it also has a 67% chance to inflict poison, decrease critical damage resistance, and on hit for self, decrease AP returns if the target has poison infect. So he does kind of get something that isn't half bad, in the sense that he gets like a little bit of AP reduction along with HP reduction, meaning that he's pretty toxic. But overall, I don't feel that this character is going to make a big enough difference. You look at what water is capable of, it's better than this guy. This guy has always just been just a little not good enough to be. And next up, Dialo, who is a Earth Fist fighter. And, you know, Earth characters we kind of do want to take a look at, since Mont is always potentially looking for new partners. So let's take a look here. So before, this had good range on it. It's 43 AP. Now it's down to 33 AP. Dispels all buffs for targets, dispels haste for target, and dispels physical damage increases and magical damage increases for the target, as well as a 200% mod, and grants auto restore 5%. That was everything that it was doing before. Now, interestingly, there looks like there's some new text on here. Dispel physical damage increase for buff target if the target have one or more of the following effects: ignore fatal or auto restore. Dispel magic increase buff for the target doesn't have that text attached to it. I'm curious as for why that change, and that could just be a text parsing issue on Wotv. So moving on. Either way, I don't think it's a really big deal. Next up, increased chance of being targeted if one or more of the following effects: ignore fatal or auto restore. Grants auto restore for herself for 3 turns, still at 5%. Reduces physical damage taken if larger size of 35%, and same with magic. And 200% chance for physical damage increase, 20%. Self if you have auto restore. So provided that she can keep auto restore, she does get a bunch of benefits. Fine. But you look at, again, this is that thing of like, you look at what the newer characters are, and this feels still so incredibly far behind. In a similar way to Gargle, if this had come out even like a week before the characters, I would have rated this higher. But I feel it's pretty mediocre, and it's just not where like going to be a great combination anyway. I'm just going to say probably no. Also, I did neglect to mention Gargle's TM or limit burst ability goes down to 48 from 58, so a slight reduction, but not amazing. I don't know. I'm landing on the side of most of these limit bursts being generally okay if you want to run the character in anything other that is not competitive. But whether any of these make these characters competitive, I'm going to say no, just because, again, we've seen what the new DPS and new tanks are looking like. They're considerably stronger than. Also, that larger than area size thing also is just completely canceled out by Joom, who is, you know, everywhere right now on JP. So I'm going to just classify this as moving on. And as we enjoy the dulcet tones of Unako, we're going to get into the other upgrades, starting with Dialdo. And Dialdo is a character that I've probably been harsher on because he just never really quite got there for me as a character. And obviously he does. I mean, you probably just need to put more effort into the earth element, which get good, Umbra. But anyway, this time around we're looking at master ability 2s, and this master ability his original master ability 20% HP increase and spirit penetration of 10. Now the HP has stayed the same. He is also getting spirit penetration of 10 stays the same, healing power of 20, and critical evasion of 20. Both of those are really good, since Dialdo, he has regeneration effects in his kit and some ways of healing. That is valuable, so I will give this a generally... I mean, it's also a master ability too. There's no reason not to do it. And critical evasion potentially keeps him around long. Doesn't, in my opinion, keep him at the same level as like a lot of the newer tanks, which I would much rather. If we were just talking bulk for him, I will choose bulk almost all the time, except in very unique corner cases. But I do believe that there's an ability that actually does get improved, which is one of his buffs that increases his defense by 20, debuff weakening, effect weakening by 50% for 3 turns per self, grants shell, and gives himself a counter. Now also gives the reduce physical damage and magical damage the larger the area attack size for 3 turns. So he does get a little bit of extra defense survivability on one of his other abilities. It makes his master ability much, much better. And I would say that it keeps him at least relevant in the conversation. It's not necessarily that he has a super stable place in an Earth-based team right now, from what I've seen. But it at least keeps him interesting for people who are still using this character and don't want to gotcha for something newer. This guy probably can last a little bit longer, a little bit more successful now, especially for an upgrade that, again, free. Now, let's jump over to the ice element and look at Ice Howlet. Now, this is a character I quite like, and I found he has been very successful for me in multiple parties, and that's good news. But he has dropped off, as it seems like, with the Red Mage team, it isn't synergistic with some of the newest and strongest characters. So taking a look here, AoE resistance at 15, slash resistance at 10%, magic resistance of 10. So AoE only went up by 5%, which is rather underwhelming. Slash magic resistance of 10 is nice, but you look at how much more damage that the new slash characters are doing, and this would have barely felt decent a little while ago, but now with the new DPSs out there, I rate this just mediocre. I mean, if you want to use this character still, fine. It's basically a free upgrade. Just click the button and spend some stamina. There's plenty of to go around. But I think that that's really underwhelming. Also, his accuracy of 15%, I just don't really know why. It would have just better to give him the offense that he... So I'm going to say that this character probably really not great master build. Yes, I did realize his faith is not up to par. I don't know how I missed that earlier, but whoops. Next up is, and our last master ability 2, which is Deso. So not really anything to complain about with this character or this upgrade. Just going to make some things better. So acquired AP of 30 is the same. Spirit penetration has gone up from 10 to 30, so that should make her much more capable of killing opponents. fire killer of 20 stays the same and reduces magical damage taken from itself by just 10% permanently. So a really solid upgrade, if for no other reason than just that. All right, and we have 2 pieces of equipment that are upgraded with the current JP raid. So we'll take one last look at that, and then we'll end the video with a slight little bit of a bonus, and I do mean slight. So this raid is looking to be absolutely fantastic because there's a chance to get one of the previous raid pieces of equipment, the Gauntlet of Sharp Steel, which was a pretty nice piece of equipment last time I checked, giving the following effects of slash resistance penetration by 20 when HP is over 60%, which is good. Upon hit, 10% healing power increase, and the new thing for getting up to 6-star is increase all elemental attacks by 15. It's just a really solid piece of equipment that can be put on multiple characters that will up damage potential. It's great. We also have one of the other best pieces of equipment in the entire game, which is the vest. I'm not going to break into a Simpson song, and a piece of equipment that I haven't talked about too terribly much, but is very, very valuable on JP and global, which is the white marshmallow hat. So solid raid just for these 3 pieces of equipment, but then we also have this too. So let's take a look at what this is. And this is a new piece of armor. Is UR quality. It comes in vitality, shield, or barrier. Shield being a 20 defense, and barrier being a 10 and 10, with 15 critical evade no matter what you go for. Obviously, this new piece of equipment will be great for the new version of Mont and the new version of June. And as for the effect, passive effect at level upgrade is reduce magical and reduce physical damage the larger the area attack size for self by 15%. So a permanent actual style effect that reduces damage the larger the attack is. Pretty good for both of the 2 new characters. And yeah, should be something that we'll see use and play. So before we end this video, I am going to just jump over here. And first off, I just want to show this. We actually were able to get our Earth Veritas. So here he is for people who want to see what he looks like. His cape can clip through his shield. Cool stuff. Look at that big ass shield right there. Look at him. He's so cool, Siegfried. And here's the animation. He will be a considerable amount of time to get him fully upgraded, but there you go. Just wanted to show him off. And also, of course, as always, the 2D artwork is just tippity tip top notch. So shout outs to that. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. It will give you some ideas and information in the future. Now, I'm probably going to go waste some more lapis and cry about it. Later.